right here at this racetrack, she made a believer of all of us because she led and looked to be on her way to her first victory in just a handful of races. I talked to Danica yesterday, and she told me she likes her race car, but she really wants to get the victory so people will stop asking her when she will get it. Also, if you're looking for a dark horse team to pull forward to this weekend,
we're getting ready to go green. The pace car pulls in. They come out of 4 down the front straightaway, and we are green at Motegi. Oh, and again, just like last year, we have a car spinning into the wall, and it is Marco Andretti. So the cold tires that got Koski Matsura last year bites Marco Andretti, and he is out of his second straight race.
A long ways to go to try and take the green flag and have this happen. And the worst thing about it is, Marty, 13, 14 hours of flight time coming home to think about what you did wrong or what happened going into the turn. Now, we'll try and get a replay and understand exactly what happened with this. And he's staying in the car hoping that maybe he might get this fixed and get a few laps and get going. And here you see the frustration of him taking just on the pace laps as we start to watch the replay here. And you can see Marco Andretti is already at the top of your screen. The back end starting to go around on him means the car is loose. He was by himself, does not look like he was touched. And the cars in front were quite a ways away from him, so we can't really put that down to some disturbed air. Now we can see that the car just starts to come around on him. The front hits the wall, and there definitely is too much damage there for that car to continue just on its own without some repair.
On board with Danica, and there you see Marco twitches. Boy, this is so similar to what happened to Koski Matsura last year.
Well, Marty, the guys have not
so we did go a little bit more for the race, but you know, it's just one of those things. He's trying to hold his position out there. It is cold, and cold tires must have got us there. So bad deal, because he had a good little run, and he's bloody quick. So hopefully it'll come around.
Guys, for
Green flag
information,
racing on lap 7. See the sparks. There's a couple of bumps through turns 1 and 2 on full tanks. You'll see that throughout the race. Behind Castroneves, it's Dixon right there in the 9 car. Tony Kanaan on the high side in the 711. You're on board with Tony. Taking a look on the inside, here comes Dan Weldon going underneath. Remember, Weldon dominated this race last year, and he's won here twice. Meanwhile, Tony Kanaan's falling back towards his teammate. Now remember, we talked a little earlier when
and the report from Danica in the cockpit is the car has got a bit of understeer. That means it wants to push out to the wall. They'll try and correct that, as Scott alluded to during the first pit stop, by making an air pressure adjustment and possibly a front wing adjustment. Because of that caution that was brought out in the early going, the pit window has now moved up. Most of the front runners, with the exceptions of the ones that pitted under that first caution, can go as far as lap 55.
All right, thanks, Jack. And notice that yellow car, the number 20 of Ed Carpenter. He is slowly closing the gap on Danica Patrick, as he came off that 5th place finish run at our opening race at Homestead Miami Speedway, and is right now running in the 6th position, just a half a second behind Danica Patrick. Meanwhile, the race leader continues to be Elio Castroneves. Our pole sitters out in front.
Danica Patrick has pulled onto pit road, and they are going to go to work there. No major changes except for tire pressure to try and adjust that push condition. Elio Castroneves is set as well, and a caution comes out. There's a car in the wall.
So the pits are now closed, so anybody coming down, go back a little further, and you can see that we've got some action brewing. That's Danica Patrick in 8th. Townsend Bell right in front of her, and the 23 car is 7th place, and Ed Carpenter just outside of that picture to your right. You're on board with Danica. Let's get more from Jack Arute.
Remember, Danica Patrick has been battling an understeer problem. They tried to correct it with a tire pressure change. They're afraid to make a wing change. Why? Because as much as the car is understeering in the middle and out of the corner, it's just a tad loose going into the corner. During this next pit stop, they will try to chip away at that as well. And now the yellow comes out, guys.
Down pit lane. Pretty much everybody. There's about 3, 4 cars. And one of them looked like it messed it. Whoa!
That was Vitor.
That was Vitor. And let's check in with Jack Arute once again.
Helio Castroneves leads the field down. They will make an adjustment. This time, watch Rick Reineman. He has trouble getting the right front off. Instead, the left front tire changer makes the change. They adjust the right front wing this time. Meanwhile, a wing adjustment on the number 10, their third place car before this pit stop, as the Target Chip Ganassi team continues to try and chase down Helio Castroneves.
And Jack, I know you're all in your screen right there, all the way back to Ryan Hunter-Reay in 9th. So Danica picks up 1 spot. Everybody else pretty much in station. And now it looks like she's got Briscoe in her sights and she's going underneath.
A nice move, a nice timing coming off of turns 3 and 4. Got a draft off of Briscoe, timed it right and just dove down the inside. Didn't give him any chance to be able to move down and take the line. Now Darren Manning's going to have a look.
Well, the one thing that's impressive here, remember Danica normally on the restarts, she's not as aggressive as the run progresses. She gets better. The car comes in better for her. But right now, she, as we hit the halfway mark of this race, picks up 2 spots.
Well, when we listened to her on board before, she was very tentative going into the turns, and she was off the gas.
Here's where it really gets interesting with tacticians. For Mike Hall and his crew, for the leader, Scott Dixon, they have calculated that they are 2 gallons short of being able to come in and pit around lap 144 and be able to finish this race. So they are now discussing the possibility and the probability that Scott Dixon, under this next pit stop, if it is under green, will take a splash of fuel and try and catch up on the back end. This is going to be interesting. Mike Hall counseled his driver and said, look, we're going to try and go a little differently and let the rest of the teams hopefully take a full tank, and then we'll take our full tank later in the race. It won't take as much time. This is when you begin to turn your cards that are face down, face up, one at a time.
What do you think of that strategy?
Well, you know, he knows the game. He understands it very well. And there's such a pack of racing going on right now for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
From here, let's send it back to Jack.
At the front of the grid is Scott Dixon, his teammate Dan Weldon. They come in formation to pull out of the pits. It'll be an exchange of the Firestone Firehawk tires. Checking both fuel loads to see if they take a full load. Yes, they are staying. They're bringing the first car out with Scott Dixon, followed by a gaggle, along with Kanaan, Team Penske, and Dan Weldon, his teammate.
And the second one out was the 6th of Ryan Briscoe. And he picks up a couple of spots. You're on board with Tony Kanaan, and there is Danica Patrick. So
now, when Briscoe comes in a little bit further back in the queue and he can come out a little bit further ahead, it makes you wonder if they put in as much fuel, knowing they do probably have to stop and just take a little bit shorter fuel run, and gives you a couple positions on track position.
there is Ed Carpenter right behind Danica. So our race leader will continue to be Scott Dixon. And right behind him is now Ryan Briscoe. So we'll sort it all out. As you see, we are under our 4th caution here at Twin Ring. As there are several. In fact, it's Danica Patrick, Ed Carpenter, and the 3 of Helio Castroneves. Let's send it to Jack Arute.
Watch Danica Patrick. They made a decision to try and top off the field, as does the Team Vision car and Helio Castroneves. These cars pack the fuel in. Now, by my calculations, that will put them precariously close to being able to go the distance, guys. Remember, under caution, you're able to make almost 2.5 times the fuel mileage, so that means about 12 to 13 miles to the gallon. This one's going to come right down to the white flag. Wouldn't surprise me if one car sputters with about 2 ounces of ethanol.
Well, and you're right, Jack. Remember, we did point it out that the Hideki Muto went 51 laps. That's the farthest we've seen anybody go with a tank of ethanol here at Twin Ring Motegi. When we get ready to go back to green, would be in 1 lap. It will be Scott Dixon, Ryan Briscoe, Tony Kanaan, Dan Weldon, and then it looks like they're showing Danica Patrick in 5th, Ed Carpenter in 6th, Elio Castroneves in 7th.
Ray just creeping the car up into the gray, no traction there. You get on the marbles and just scrubs the softer barrier a small amount and probably didn't do any damage to the car, so he lives to continue on. And here he goes. Remember, this is a feeling where you feel like you're driving on ice. The car is slowly going towards the wall.
Carpenter, who last pitted just 45 laps to go, is into pit lane.
And
so
remember,
his
he was one of the first ones to come in at the beginning of the race also. They're not making fuel mileage.
So their chance of the podium finish is now over. Jack?
Ed Carpenter pulls down into pit road. Remember, that's a team that was using a lot of downforce. That means they consumed more ethanol. They were looking for a podium finish. But in the meantime, he takes on that precious fuel, but it will be costly in pursuit of a podium finish. In the meantime, Scott Dixon has been called onto pit road. And following him in will be his teammate in the number 10 car. Dixon. Boy, this is slow. This is agonizing for a driver like Scott Dixon. Remember, it's 100 yards, a football field every second. They connect, and all of a sudden, it is less than 2 for a pit stop. And all of a sudden, Scott Dixon is well.
All right, and the other two are blinking as well. Dan Weldon and Tony Kanaan are in, and it looks like Elio Castroneves. Remember, he came in and topped off with 5 laps to go. It looks like Elio Castroneves is going to inherit the race lead, as there he is with now 4 laps to go. Jack?
Well, as Dan Weldon pulled off for his Elio Castroneves, just been radioed by Tim Cindric. Only 5 to go. You must make fuel. That's an indication to me, guys. They're going to roll the dice and try and go without pulling onto pit road. This is going to be close.
He is working 48 laps since his last pit stop. There are 3 laps to go this time by. There is second place, Danica Patrick. She, too, on the same fuel strategy as with just about 2.5 laps to go. The question is, who's got it? And here she comes. Does she have enough fuel? She's going to take the high side. And Danica Patrick takes the lead at Motegi.
Castroneves must believe that he's not going to make it to the end unless he's throttling back as much as he is. Has she been able to conserve fuel enough to be able to run this pace and make it to the end? That's going to be the interesting fact right now. Remember, we said when these changes went on, will she be on the podium, maybe standing in the middle? This just might be her day. She's run so strong here before.
1.5 laps to go for Danica Patrick. Remember, at the beginning of this run, she fell back. She was saving fuel. Here she comes. The white flag this time by, and nobody within sight. Look at 1.5 miles to go for Danica Patrick and the Motorola team. Could history be made at Twin Ring Motegi? Down the backstretch for one more time. Does she have enough fuel to get around the final 2 corners? Into turns 3 and 4. Danica Patrick coming out of 4, and boys, move over. The lady is coming through. Danica Patrick wins at Twin Ring Motegi. The celebration
Pandemonium has broken out. We're trying to get Bev Patrick as she gets all the congratulations with anybody. It reminds me of Jim Valvano when North Carolina State scored the upset in basketball so many years ago.
Oh, my
Bev,
gosh.
describe the feeling.
Oh, finally. We've worked so hard. She's worked so hard. I'm so proud of this team. Kyle is the man. Kyle Boyer did it all right there. Oh, thank God. That's wonderful.
This was not a good weekend in terms of practice times for
trip. And it got everybody buzzing. And if you remember that year, she went on to lead at the Indianapolis 500. And then it all began. When can you win? When can you win? Well, now, Danica Patrick has won.
It's going to make that long plane ride home for over, unless she's got tears coming to her eyes, of 14 hours back to the United States a little easier for Danica Patrick.
Ticket sales at Kansas just went up. Jackaroo, it's all yours.
Danica Patrick in tears. Getting the congratulations of her mom, Bev. An emotional time. Danica Patrick, welcome to Indycar Victory Lane.
Thank you. I feel like I was crying, but it's a long time coming. Finally.
When you take a look at this weekend, and especially in this race, battling an understeer condition.
Congrats, girl. Good job.
Marco Andretti congratulating Danica. Understeer, and then all of a sudden, fuel conservation. How tough for you?
I can't say that the last stint was exactly hard. You know, you're taking it easy and taking care of the car. I did feel like at the end I was, you know, that it was fast and that I was managing to save fuel while still keeping the speed up. And I'd heard, you know, from Kyle that, you know, all I need to beat is Elio. So when I saw him, I knew I had been kind of saving a little extra throughout the stint, and that, you know, I knew he was the one to beat, and I didn't want to make the mistake of, you know, not pushing really hard to get by him. So it managed to be a little bit safer probably than I saw. But thank you to Andretti Green. Thank you to, you know, all my teammates, and finally.
You know what? I got to ask you, when are you going to win again?
I hope next weekend.
Guys.
All right, thanks, Jack. And can you sense the weight that is off her shoulders? She handled every question. There's Dad, TJ. He's crying. We saw this scene just 2 weeks ago, a first victory for 19-year-old Graham Rahal, the celebration with his dad, Bobby. And another first just 2 weeks later in twin ring.